r/petty revenge. Pettiest of gluten-free revenge. Around 5 years ago, I accompanied a family with an almost toddler baby to an island where they were presenting a week-long seminar. I was to care for the baby and keep him on his food and nap schedule, play, etc. while they were working. We were staying at a really beautiful place that was typically a yoga retreat, and I had a suite that I shared with the baby. On the arrival day, I was chatting with a couple of the women participating in the seminar. One talked a while about gluten-free baking, and how she felt she had finally perfected some recipes that tasted great. I'm also a home baker, and I had another couple kids I provided childcare for, and one was eating gluten-free because of stomach issues. She missed out on a lot of things because she couldn't eat them, and with older kids baking is a great activity. We didn't do much because I'm not familiar with gluten-free baking substitutions. So conversationally, I asked the woman what gluten-free flours she combined to have good baking results, not specific recipes, just general ratios. I dunno what her deal was. She never said she was writing a cookbook or anything, but she got all proprietary about it and absolutely refused to tell me anything. I let it go, but I thought that was petty as hell. Well, on maybe the second or third day, there was a storm and power went out over the entire island. I've spent time on islands and I also like ambience, so for emergencies or mood, I'd packed a couple candles and glass holders and 2 flashlights. When it was dark, I had candles, and had a flashlight for me for walking to the other room, etc., and one for the baby to hold because babies love flashlights. We were set. The first morning after the blackout night, I was with the baby and chatting with some of the other people at breakfast, and I mentioned I had my emergency supplies and said baby and I were fine, and he actually had fun with his flashlight. Later that day, husband of gluten-free baker woman, forgot to mention they had an infant, comes up and says he just drove to town, but everywhere he checked was out of flashlights, batteries, and candles. Could they use one of my candles and one flashlight? Oh, I was so regretful. I sadly told him no, the candles were small and I needed them. I needed both flashlights, because I couldn't use one without baby wanting it, so I had to have the spare for him. So sorry. Maybe power will be back on soon. At the same time, I laughed and laughed inside my head at the thought of gluten-free baking tips with holding woman in the dark. She should have been nicer.